Good evening, everybody, and welcome to session number 6. And we're going to get started with looking at sexual intimacy and how that can be developed and worked on through the various stages of your life. And this is not going to be a how-to guide with graphic descriptions. Really, this is about how you can work together as a couple and communicate around your sexual needs and how you express that in your own personal relationship.
I really dislike the way that people refer to this as sex. The word having sex for me is actually, it's really awful, because it's like, shall we have a cup of coffee or shall we have sex? Shall we have a glass of wine or shall we have sex? It just creates a really earthly feeling, whereas the making love idea is much more appealing to me. And that's the language that Roger and I use, the language that we have taught our children, because it's a physical, but also very much a spiritual union. And it is only in that realm that it can be fulfilling. So, we know men are tend to be very focused on the external, very drawn to what they see. But for us women, it's a completely different experience. It's an experience of creating trust, creating a sense of safety in the relationship. And for me personally, unless we are at that level where we can share our thoughts, our hearts, our feelings, it's very difficult then to share everything else. I can't divide. Okay, we haven't talked the whole day. We haven't talked for a week. So let's just jump into bed. It's just not going to happen. And I really think that we need to look at this from God's perspective. It's not a physical activity. It's really the unity of mind, body, spirit, everything in the embrace of God. Right?
Yes, I think this is something that, in the Divine Principle that Reverend Moon teaches, he really explains a lot about how within the sexual relationship between a husband and wife, actually, this is a creative process, right? Making love is a process of giving life. So in that union, the horizontal union between a husband and wife, God's spirit can come and give new life to a child, but it's also a matter of creating a greater sense of unity between two people, right? So as you bond together physically, it also creates that sense of spiritual bonding. And, in order to really improve that, you need to first think about how to satisfy your partner and bring fulfillment to them first. So it's a giving thing. It's my father gave me this piece of advice. If you really want to make your wife happy, then you need to think first of all about how you can make her happy rather than how you can receive your own fulfillment. And so I've always kind of taken that to heart and thought about that a lot. So making love then is an expression of your inner creativity, both as an individual and as a couple.
Also, there is the awareness that with age, things change and needs change. The reality of a body changes. And I think it's important to be honest, to be upfront with our spouse and be really clear on what works, doesn't work, and how we feel. And, overcoming sometimes our own shyness or being reserved. It's really important to communicate. We go back to communication, but making love is to communicate at a very deep level. So, for young people, it's a different experience than it is for people who grow older, right? with people who are older.
Right.
So
Yeah, my parents were still enjoying a nice sexual relationship and making love even up into their 80s. And your uncle, I believe he's 92 and still performing.
he informed me, he's my godfather while I was in Italy. He informed me in front of his wife and my brother and other relatives that he's still upholding the San Francisco's name. Only in Italy you can hear certain things. Sorry, Alfonsina. Maybe your family is not like that, but
So there's hope for me. Okay. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So a little while ago, I was interviewing two elderly couples in a restaurant. I was just started talking to them, and the wife of one of them, and they've been married for like 50 years, told me it's pretty easy to keep a man happy. They're basically very uncomplicated beings who have simple needs: food, comfort, and sex. And I was thinking, yeah, we're pretty uncomplicated, but we need to be. It's an important part of the relationship. And we need to, take care of this part in order to also enjoy the other things and the other parts of our relationship as well. Any
Cool.
final thoughts?
Let's get started.
Let's get started. Okay. Let me share the video. And so welcome back again. I was thinking about doing this session where I talked about restraint in the sexual relationship can be an important part of it. And, in our church tradition, as part of the blessing ceremony, we have following the drinking of the holy wine and enjoying that blessing ceremony, we often have a period of 40 days of separation between husband and wife where we don't engage in sexual relationships. And it's kind of a reset in your relationship. And then at the end of that, you come together and you have this 3-day ceremony where you make love for 3 days, in a row. And this is actually a very powerful experience. And we've tried to do it not just once, but several times in our relationship over the years, because it actually creates it's kind of a new beginning. It's like pushing that reset button on your relationship and starting again. And we did it a few years ago. It was 3 years ago now, a couple of years ago. And it was actually a very powerful experience because, I think in many ways, we kind of get into a routine and we just, engage in that relationship and we make love, once a week or twice a week or whatever it is for you. And twice a day. I don't know. Maybe.
Just making that up.
But sometimes it's good to kind of just step back a little bit and take a break, right?
Yeah. And I think that, when I watch movies or I read the news and I see the terrible things that men do to women, I think that there's a part of me that still feels distrust of men. And even though I know my husband is not like that, I still feel it. I still feel the brunt of what happens to many women out there. So when we decide to have those periods of separation, it's like we are really building our relationship not based on that. And there is so much beauty when we come back together because we really bring God into our experience and we feel how God is really intimately interested in how we love each other. And it just, it brings us to a higher level, and not just in our relationship, but in our relationship with God. So,
yeah, I think the world around us has really corrupted the view of that intimate sexual relationship of making love. And it has become really a dirty thing, something to be ashamed of or to be hidden. And if you talk to our kids, you'll know that we don't hide anything in our relationship. They know what's going on. So we, it's a way of making it pure again, like in the way like it was meant to be in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. And we need to renew that commitment to each other, I think, not just once, but many times in our lives. So thank you very much for joining us this week, and we look forward to a final session next week.